I struggled to lose weight for many years and wondered how my thin friends could eat whatever they want and stay thin. It felt like I was cursed to put in twice the effort for half the results. But now that I have been maintaining a 20% body composition for 10 years, I realize I was right. My thin friends did have secrets for how they stayed thin. Secrets hidden in plain sight that all of us who are struggling to lose weight overlook. These secrets have caused over 1,000 of my clients to feel more in control, to up their consistency and motivation, and to lose weight with far more confidence and ease than they thought possible. And now I want to give you these 4 secrets so you save yourself the years of confusion, frustration, and frankly, jealousy I used to feel of my thin friends. The first secret is one you'd never notice and your thin friends would never think to tell you because they assume you eat the meals the way they do. When I was losing weight, at social events, I'd eat too full, but then keep grazing because I felt like I wouldn't get this delicious food later. I'd keep snacks packed in the car in case I'd ever get hungry. I realize now that I was afraid of hunger. Maybe because I hated how uncomfortable and hangry hunger made me, or maybe because I knew if I got hungry, I'd overeat, so I was trying to preemptively eat to avoid it. Whatever the reason, ironically, it would cause me to overeat anyway. In contrast, my thin friends, and now me for the past 10 years, eat only when hungry. But that's easier said than done. It's a huge leap to go from decades of food scarcity mindset to a food abundance mindset. Here's 2 things I did that's the bridge toward a food abundance mindset. 1, set a goal that you will be hungry after 3 to 4 hours of eating, so you're not afraid of the uncertainty of when it will happen. If you're hungry before then, add a palm-sized lean protein to your meals going forward. You can grab our cheat sheet of lean proteins linked in the description below. But if you don't get hungry by 4 hours, then you overeat. Reduce the size of the bowl or plate in which you ate, and if you took multiple servings, serve yourself 1 less serving next time. Second, if you're like I was, you may be eating in front of screens or eating very quickly. Next meal onward, put a timer in front of you and set a goal for the serving to last 20 minutes. If you finish before then, you are too fast and aim to take 2 minutes longer than you took this time. Level up by 2-minute increments until it takes you on average about 25 minutes to finish each serving. But we all know the main problem is not hunger, but cravings. If I wasn't eating food, I was thinking about what I'm going to eat. I'd eat food because I'm sitting in a cafe reading my book, and why not order a latte? And then some food. If I'm stressed at work or even bored, I'd want to graze on chips as I thought about what to do. I'd be at a restaurant and think, I'm not getting this food again, so let's eat it now when I have it. Or if I was on track with my plan and losing weight for weeks, I'd feel I've been so good that I've earned to eat without restriction like a release, which would then of course set me back, make me very upset with myself, and keep me off track for weeks. What's happening is food is my go-to for every emotion. Food gives me relief from stress, boredom, and all uncomfortable emotions. Food is how I connect with friends. Food is how I celebrate doing well at my goals, even if that goal was to eat less. And if my relationship with food is one of joy, connection, and relief, why would I ever want the opposite? Who wants misery, disconnection, and stress? But then if you look at your thin friends, you'll notice they eat out of hunger 95% of the time and just 5% out of cravings, while I was eating 50% and some weeks even 70% out of cravings. Going from 70% to 5% is a huge leap. Instead, there are 3 things that form the bridge to reversing your ratio between hunger and cravings. First, it's sometimes hard to tell if the urge to eat is out of hunger or cravings. I still sometimes in maintenance am not 100% sure at times. To know which it is, I ask myself 2 questions. 1, has it been 3 to 4 hours since I last ate a meal? 2, would I be satisfied if I ate raw celery, cucumbers, and zucchini? If the answer is no to both, this is cravings. At this point, if I still want to eat my crave food, I can, but I'm doing so with explicit intention. Second, if I choose to have the crave food, I add a speed bump before I eat. I start drinking a glass of water while I jot down answers to what happened just now that may have caused my cravings. What was I feeling? What was I thinking? And lastly, after I eat my crave food, I immediately go for a win by doing a habit I want to do more of. For example, a 5-minute walk, drinking some more water, stretching, or something else. But a reason why your thin friends have a different relationship with food is not just mental or emotional, but chemical. I remember a thin coworker and I were put on a project together. The project required meeting with the higher-ups every other day, and we were given half the time such a project usually got. Under stress, I was grazing on snacks and working late nights. My coworker didn't didn't typically work as late because she had to pick up her kids from daycare, and she'd work an hour or so after her kids went to bed. I remember a day when we were stuck on a gnarly problem. It was super frustrating. My coworker invited me to come over to her place to grab dinner with her family, then keep working together. It was a lovely dinner, and then afterward, her kids decided to have an impromptu dance party. At first, I felt silly, but as we danced around her living room, I realized I was smiling and laughing despite feeling drained earlier. And later, as we sat down to work on the project, I felt not as stressed, so I snacked less. That was the first time as an adult that I experienced exercise not as a means for calorie burn and weight loss, but as a way to release stress and curb cravings. And viewing it this way meant I no longer felt the need for intense HIIT sessions, long runs, or lifting weights. Now, exercise meant play. And yet I struggled because my life wasn't set up for play. I had a packed adult schedule already. And when I did try it, the activities I enjoyed as a kid didn't seem as fun now. There are two things I recommend as a bridge toward exercise as play. One, instead of looking at what you enjoyed as a kid, look into the future of what your perfect week would look like. What are you doing there? For example, for me, it started off with rowing. I did a few months of rowing and then realized I didn't actually like it as much, so I switched to hiking. This one stuck, but I realized I have a bit of a need for speed, so I decided to try biking. This is going to be a process of experimentation, but even if you don't stick to what you try, you are keeping active, relieving stress, and curbing cravings. It's a win regardless. And second, no matter what you settle on, everybody's future life involves being able to walk for an hour or two. So regardless, build in 1,000 increments up to 6,000 steps per day to start, and then 6,000 to 12,000 steps daily. And the last secret of your thin friends is how they set their health goals. When I was losing weight, I'd lose motivation to do my healthy habits if I wasn't seeing results. But then when I went back to my old habits, I'd overeat and gain weight. This seemed so unfair because I would see my thin friends eat as much as I did when we hung out and yet seemed to maintain no problem. I was so jealous of their genetics. And then I had a thin friend be roommates with me for 6 months, and I realized her habits were like an iceberg. I had been seeing just the tip when we weren't living together. For example, if she had a big brunch, she'd eat very light for dinner, while I would have a big brunch and then the same size dinner I'd normally eat if I hadn't had a big brunch. I also noticed that if she overate, her other habits didn't stop. Like she still snacked hardly ever, she still went out for walks, she still slept on time. She seemed to genuinely enjoy her healthy habits independent of results. But going from a perfectionist mindset to a journey mindset is a huge leap. So here was my bridge to a journey mindset. 1. Start tracking the habits I've mentioned in a habit tracker. To set expectations, the first week I did this, I scored a 17%. That's okay. 2. Set aside 20 minutes a week in your calendar to review your score and the 1 to 2 things you'll do to improve your score, not to perfect it. So when I got up 17%, my goal was just to get more than 17% next week, not to suddenly get 100%, which by the way, I've never scored in my life. And here I am 10 years straight maintaining 20% body fat. And 3, pick a target for your habits that you're at least 9 out of 10 confident you'll be able to meet. So if you're eating 1 out of 21 meals without screens, set a target of 2 meals for next week. But how do you know what are the right 1 to 2 things to change and what targets to set so that you aren't wasting time by following the wrong plan for you? You can do it in 2 ways. 1, if you want my help shortcutting through all the trial and error to nailing the bridges toward your thin friends habits, then check out the free sneak peek into my Badass Body Boss program in the description and comments below. Or if you want to DIY it, then you don't want to ignore this video where I tell you how to lose weight while putting in the minimum effort possible, aka being lazy. That's right, being lazy so you actually stick to your plan forever is the best approach I've found for myself and the thousands of people I've coached. So you don't want to miss the complete step-by-step breakdown here. And always remember, you can do it.